Disaster readiness for the elderly. Lessons from Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Disaster preparedness and readiness for the elderly is a subject close to my heart. Being ready for a natural disaster, that is, power outage, tornado, hurricane, earthquake, flooding, fire, etc., is a critical must for everyone, but especially for our seniors. Join our newsletter at newsletter@aaronsagelessessentials.com for our free ebook on Disaster Survival for the Elderly, which contains a 26-page brochure created to raise awareness of the special challenges the elderly might have to overcome in their fight for survival in a worst-case scenario. Request the free ebook by clicking the address above and placing Disaster Survival for the Elderly in the subject line. Like the recent hurricanes, Helene and Milton revealed that disaster preparedness and readiness are important to everyone. But for caregivers and families of the elderly, being prepared and ready is a dire necessity. The impact of a natural disaster can be tragic and devastating for our most vulnerable community, and knowing what to do and when increases their survival and ability to stay alive and safe. Request your free ebook, Disaster Survival for the Elderly, at newsletter@aaronsagelessessentials.com and stay informed, empowered, and ready. If it's surviving a lengthy power outage or a hurricane, this ebook will open your eyes to your options and possibilities. Dad always said, "It's best to have it and not need it, than to need it and not have it." Thank you, Didi, for everything you taught me, especially being vigilant and prepared. I love you. Rest in peace. The impact of recent hurricanes Helene and Milton. Hurricanes Helene and Milton have both inflicted widespread devastation across the southeastern U.S. in 2024. Helene ravaged the Carolinas. It has left over 230 dead. Milton was a Category 5 storm. It tore through Florida and caused massive power outages, storm surges, and tornadoes. According to the statistics provided by the American Red Cross and FEMA, these hurricanes displaced thousands and left them without basic services such as electricity, clean water, and shelter. The most vulnerable populations, particularly the elderly, faced the brunt of these natural disasters. Hence, we see that disaster readiness for the elderly is a grave necessity and an urgent concern. Why the elderly are more vulnerable in natural disasters. Elderly individuals are disproportionately vulnerable during disasters. This is largely because of their age-related challenges such as slower mobility, sensory impairments, and dependency on medical devices. Decision-making becomes harder for many elderly people. They often hesitate or struggle to evacuate quickly. Hence, their lives are further endangered. Additionally, most elderly often live in isolation. This makes it difficult for the elderly to access real-time emergency information. Many are cut off from support networks, and this leaves them without assistance and unaware of evacuation orders. Chronic health conditions. Many elderly individuals suffer from chronic illnesses such as heart disease, diabetes, and respiratory conditions. These conditions can worsen during stressful situations like natural disasters when medical care is harder to access. Limited mobility. Physical limitations can make it harder for the elderly to move quickly or evacuate on short notice. Such limitations include the use of wheelchairs, walkers, or canes. Cognitive impairments. Elderly individuals with cognitive issues like dementia or Alzheimer's may become disoriented or confused during an emergency. It becomes difficult for them to follow evacuation instructions or navigate unfamiliar environments. Dependence on caregivers. Many elderly individuals rely on caregivers for daily activities. If caregivers are unavailable or unable to reach them during a disaster, they may be left without critical support. Increased susceptibility to environmental hazards. Older adults are more vulnerable to extreme temperatures, dehydration, and infections. These are common risks during natural disasters. Financial constraints. Some elderly persons are not typically prepared for disasters. They cannot afford to invest in an emergency supply kit or backup power. They cannot arrange transportation in case they must evacuate. Psychological vulnerability. The emotional stress caused by natural calamities can be very severe. Such problems are more pronounced in the case of elderly persons. It will be more distressful if some of their loved ones have lost their lives or if their homes were destroyed. The importance of preparedness for the elderly. Disaster preparedness is important for everyone, but it holds even greater standing for the elderly due to their specific vulnerabilities. Proper disaster readiness for the elderly can make a life or death difference during emergencies. Here's why it's so important. Increased resilience during emergencies. Having a well-organized emergency plan and necessary supplies helps elderly individuals remain self-sufficient during disasters. It reduces their dependence on others and increases their chances of survival. Minimizing health risks. Many elderly people have underlying health conditions. They often require constant care. Preparedness ensures they have access to medications, medical devices, and the necessary backup power sources to maintain their health during power outages or other disruptions. Rapid response to evacuations. Elderly individuals often face mobility issues or cognitive impairments that can make swift evacuation challenging. By preparing in advance, they can identify evacuation routes, plan how to leave quickly, and ensure their essential items are packed in a bug-out bag, reducing panic and confusion during an actual disaster. Enhanced peace of mind. Proper preparation can reduce anxiety and stress for elderly individuals and their families. Knowing they have a plan in place and the tools needed to handle an emergency brings emotional security. This is very important for mental health, especially during a crisis. Protecting independence. Disaster preparedness ensures that elderly individuals can maintain some level of independence, even when support systems may be strained or unavailable. This allows them to make informed decisions and take action when necessary without relying solely on external assistance. Ensuring timely assistance. A well-communicated disaster plan with clear emergency contacts increases the likelihood that the elderly will receive timely assistance from their support networks. This is especially important for those living alone or in rural areas where help may take longer to arrive. Reducing burden on caregivers. When elderly individuals are prepared, it lightens the load on their caregivers. A pre-packed bag and pre-established plans mean less last-minute scrambling, allowing caregivers to focus on safe evacuation and care. Evacuation versus shelter-in-place decisions. The decision to evacuate or shelter in place depends on several factors. These factors may include mobility, health conditions, and available support. For elderly individuals, last-minute evacuation orders pose significant challenges. This was seen especially in areas affected by Hurricanes Milton and Helene. Community support and assistance from local authorities are essential in such situations. The consequences of power loss during Hurricanes Helene and Milton. In the aftermath of both hurricanes, power outages compounded the difficulties for elderly populations. In Florida and the Carolinas, elderly residents who depended on medical devices faced significant health risks when electricity was lost for days. Hospitals struggling with IV fluid shortages and overwhelmed by patients highlighted the need for better preparation. These examples underscore the importance of having backup power systems and more efficient disaster planning for the elderly population. Power outages and medical device dependency. Prolonged power outages during Hurricanes Milton and Helene highlighted the dangers faced by elderly individuals reliant on critical medical devices. Devices such as oxygen concentrators, insulin pumps, and nebulizers are essential for their survival. Here are key considerations. Backup power solutions. Solar generators offer renewable and reliable energy during long outages, providing a sustainable backup without the need for fuel. Portable battery backups can keep essential devices running for several hours or days, depending on their capacity. Gas-powered generators are another option, though they require fuel and careful placement to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Pre-planned safety measures. Ensure a well-charged supply of batteries for portable medical devices. Register with local emergency services for priority assistance during prolonged outages. Know the location of nearby hospitals or shelters with backup power facilities in case relocation becomes necessary. Health monitoring. Use medical alert systems that can automatically notify emergency responders in case of device failure due to power loss. Having these devices operational during power outages is not just a convenience, but a life-saving necessity, making proper planning essential for those with medical device dependencies. Tips for creating a comprehensive disaster preparedness plan for the elderly. To create a comprehensive disaster preparedness plan for the elderly, it's important to consider specific needs and potential vulnerabilities while ensuring practical steps for safety and readiness. Here are key tips to consider. Emergency contacts and support network. Build a strong support system of family, friends, neighbors, and caregivers who can help during emergencies. Make sure they know the elderly individual's needs and practice the plan together. Keep emergency contact information easily accessible, both in printed form and on devices. Consider a trusted person who can check on the individual regularly. Medical supplies and essential documents. Ensure a week's supply of medications are on hand. They should be in a safe, accessible location. Include a list of all medications, dosages, and any medical conditions. Prepare all significant documents such as identification cards, medical records, and insurance, and store them in waterproof, fireproof containers. Having digital backups may also help when there is a need to evacuate. Bug-out bag. Pack a ready-to-go emergency kit. Add in the essentials like non-perishable food, water, medications, hygiene, first aid supplies, a flashlight, extra batteries, a whistle, and personal identification. Keep it in the car or in your closet, someplace you can easily grab it. Include copies of important documents. These may include things such as medical prescriptions, insurance papers, and an extra set of house keys. For those using mobility aids like walkers or hearing aids, keep extra batteries or backup devices in the bag. Home safety. Assess the home for hazards. To assure fire safety, remove combustibles around the house. You should install fire-resistant landscaping if needed. Be sure emergency exits are clear and accessible easily. For the elderly individuals who reside in an area that is susceptible to flooding, hurricanes, or other potential disasters, develop a specific evacuation plan. You should store items at higher levels to avoid potential water damage. Community involvement. Stay engaged with local community resources that offer help during emergencies. Knowing local shelters and evacuation routes can be critical, especially if quick action is needed. Participate in community preparedness activities or events to stay informed and connected. Communication. Regularly communicate with the support network and ensure everyone is updated on the plan. Identify someone who can check in with the elderly individual during disasters, especially those who live alone. Know local emergency alert systems to stay informed during a crisis. These may include radio, TV, or text alerts. Staying safe and prepared during natural disasters. Disaster preparedness for the elderly is ensuring their safety during natural disasters. It needs to be focused on personalized emergency plans, adequate supplies, and backup power solutions. Preparedness requires collaboration between families, communities, and support networks in ensuring no elderly person is left behind in times of disaster. Join our newsletter at newsletter@aaronsagelessessentials.com for the free ebook on disaster survival for the elderly, and for future updates and information on this subject and other topics that impact our elder community.